Number 3. After reading so many of your stories, I figured I would share mine. So I grew up in a really sketchy neighbourhood. There were always cop cars, and often at times you would hear gunshots in the middle of the night. However, if you were from our neighbourhood, people generally left you alone. Now, to enter our neighbourhood, you had to cross a really old bridge, and this is important to the story a little bit later on. I think I was 14 or 15 when this happened. I was riding my bike home with a friend following along, and as we approached the bridge, there were two men, maybe mid-20s, hanging out on the sidewalk in the middle of the bridge. I immediately thought this was strange, as I didn't really recognise either of them. However, this is literally the one entrance to the neighbourhood. Against my better judgment, we start to cross the bridge. As soon as we get close to the halfway point, these two dudes started chasing us. I immediately freaked out and did my best Lance Armstrong impression. However, I left my friend behind. As I'm riding through the neighbourhood, I noticed one more guy come sprinting out of an alley chasing after me. I get to my house, up our driveway, and then I realised I haven't seen my friend. About 30 seconds later, he comes up the drive and almost collapses. Now, the weird part is, all three dudes roll up to the end of the drive together, see us by the house, and just leave. To this day, I don't know what they would have done if they'd have caught us, and I am glad I never had to find out. Also, we never saw them in the neighbourhood again. Number 2. I've got to tell you that I attract older men than me, and I'm kind of used to it. After many teachers try going on dates with me, I've learnt how to politely decline their invites. However, it still gets me uneasy to add fans to my list. This happened during my last year of high school. I was 17 at the time. Since the school was just a 15-minute walk away from home, and I was almost grown up, I was allowed to make my way home every day. After all, my classes finished at 2 p.m. One afternoon, as I was walking home, this 60-year-old neighbour stopped me and introduced himself. He told me he had seen me many times on my way to and from school. We had been living a block away from his house for over 10 years, and that he liked to meet his neighbours. I didn't notice anything strange straight away, since old people tend to get a bit odd. I introduced myself, said goodbye and left, and didn't really think much of it. Fast forward 2 weeks or so. I was walking near the newsstand, and he was talking to the owner. Then he started calling me, but he got my name wrong. Let's say I'm called Letty, and he called me Betty. I just turned around, because of the shouting, not because I'd recognised the voice. I saw him and waved goodbye. The next day, he stopped me and scolded me for not saying hi, then proceeded to apologise for have gotten my name wrong. He told me he had gone on a trip to a sanctuary in another state, and that he had bought something for me. I said I didn't need anything, and that he shouldn't have bothered, to which he answered, "It's just for you to think I know of your beauty." By this time, I was absolutely scared, and as soon as I could, I escaped. I talked to my friends, and they all advised me to take the bus instead of walking home the next week, just to make sure I wouldn't have to encounter him again. To take the bus, I had to walk 2 blocks, and it would leave me in front of my house. As I crossed the first street, which is the main one, I could see he was waiting for me in his car. I freaked out but managed to stay calm, as he approached me and gave me the bracelet he had bought for me. Needless to say, I got rid of it as soon as possible. This time I decided that enough was enough and told everything to my mum. She just went serious and made sure there was always someone to pick me up from school. After some weeks, we moved to the next town, but I still had to walk in front of the creepy old neighbour's house. One morning, both of my parents walked me to school. I was usually accompanied by Mum, so the neighbour didn't know of my dad. My mum and I left my dad behind because he had to tie his shoelace, and as we passed in front of this man's house, he plainly ignored me, but made a gesture towards my dad, apparently indicating that I was a very nice specimen. Of course, that didn't make my dad happy, and since my mum had told him everything, he went over, and the conversation went like this. My dad said, "Good morning. I've noticed you are approaching my daughter in a disrespectful way." The creepy old neighbour said, "I don't approach people. I just wanted to say hi." My dad replied with, "Well, don't even say hi to her." From that day on, whenever I pass near his house, he ignores me. And honestly, I don't mind it. It was after the conversation between my dad and him that my parents revealed that he is a private investigator. That's probably why he knows so much about me, my age, and my transportation habits. Number 1. This is going to sound like I'm making this up, but trust me, everything you hear is real. It all started with a few calls that, when answered, no one says anything, which I just shrugged off at first, until later. The calls didn't happen often enough for me to notice. One night, of a normal day, I was awoken in the night by a loud banging. Now at first, it was in my dream, and I was just a little crazy. But about a week later, the same thing happened, and without fail, after both times, I received a phone call around midday with no answer. Now I began to wonder if I was going crazy, or if someone was behind this. The next thing changed my whole perspective. It was about 2 weeks after I had the loud bangs, and was about an hour into my sleep, when what sounded like a trash bin getting knocked over woke me up. I listened for anything. Then I heard my back gate getting unlocked, so I sprinted down to find no one there, but my gate wide open. This scared me throughout the next day. I went out into my garden for anything suspicious that I could find, and at the back of my garden is a brick wall. I walked up to it, and as it's not that tall, I could lean over. I noticed in chalk, someone had wrote, "Ring ring." I thought nothing of this, until I received a blank call again. But this time, I heard something on the other end. It was a knocking sound. Then, an abrupt hang up. I have heard nothing since, and it's been about a month now. I don't know if this is something, or is this just a cruel prank? Well, anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, then please leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. I again want to apologise for this episode being out pretty late compared to the other ones, but I've been having some issues with my PC and stuff recently, and so I haven't been able to record videos, I haven't been able to edit videos and stuff, and I've only just managed to get it fixed, so hopefully I'll have some videos up more recent again, but we're just gonna have to see what happens. Anyway, I hope to see you soon, and I'll speak to you later.